Hello, and welcome to Your Vote Counts, a nonpartisan public information program designed to get the public acquainted with the candidates vying for the 2022 general election positions for Congressional District 6, Oregon Senate Districts 10 and 11, Oregon House Districts 17 through 23, Salem City Council, and Marion County Commissioner. These interviews come to you through the producers at Capital Community Media, moderation and collaboration on questions from the Association of University Women, Salem City Club, and the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk counties. All 27 candidates for these races were invited, and all but 6 chose to participate. Candidates did not receive the questions prepared by the League of Women Voters ahead of time. Candidates were invited to prepare a 2-minute opening addressing their background and qualifications for the office, and a 2-minute closing addressing their goals for the office if elected. I'm Cindy Condon from Salem City Club. I'd like to introduce Michael Morrow, who is running for Oregon House District 21. Candidate Morrow, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We look forward to your opening remarks before we get into questions.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate the time. My name's Michael Morrow. I am the Libertarian running for the Oregon State House seat, District 21. My background, I have a bachelor's degree, public administration from the University of La Verne. I am currently working for my master's of business administration at Willamette University here in Salem, with a concentration on public and nonprofit management. I have a previous government experience. I worked for the city of Monterey Park in California as their waste and recycling associate, and have spent 20 years in aviation security after that, mostly with TSA for 15 years, up until I moved up here and got ready to start my schooling. I've always been interested in politics and community service, and I see this position as a great way to continue that effort and to represent more of the citizens of the district as opposed to particular interests. As a libertarian, I look at government as a means to an end, and that mostly is to just protect individual rights. So I am looking to restrict government and to bring it more in line with our founding documents and protect individual rights for every Oregonian, not just any particular class, type, or ability.
Okay, thank you for that introduction. And now to our questions. So first, could you discuss the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the Inflation Reduction Act as passed by the federal government? What elements do you think will benefit Oregon and Oregonians?
Well, that's a very detailed and touchy subject. And the main thing I would say is I feel that the federal government has overstepped some of its abilities in what it's trying to do. I do not feel that an act that spends more money on any particular issue is really reducing inflation. One of the biggest causes we've had of inflation in the last year or so has been the massive dump of additional money into the economy. And that has an effect of raising cost of living, raising costs of products. So I feel that that was something that shouldn't have been done. However, it is done. So how it will impact us is the additional federal funds that are coming into the state. What we need to be doing with those funds is trying, one, to keep ourselves from getting additional long-term costs. It's a one-time funding structure. And I've seen many times where we get this money, but now we're whatever program we started with money we got, but now it's an additional commitment of X number of dollars per year going forward. If we're getting a one-time infusion, we need to make sure that we're using that in a way that doesn't cause additional costs later on down the line, and actually gets to projects that are going to benefit Oregonians. When it comes to infrastructure, I know roads, bridges are in severe need, but also items such as we have a very large rural part of the state that tends to be forgotten. Here in the Central Valley, we're taken care of. We have broadband. A lot of the rural part of the state doesn't, and that leaves them out of the new economy that's developing and leaves some of our older citizens out. So as a statewide level, we need to make sure the money goes to those in need and to the areas that we can most improve that will give us a strong base for the future economy as an entire state.
Okay, thank you for that. And drilling just a little bit deeper there, what
Sure
do you
thing.
think about the renewable energy tax credits that are included in the bill?
I believe the difference between the tax credits and tax write-offs, very small. The ability of getting that additional green energy is a plus. I believe that trying to find these alternative means to get us out of environmental problems. The fires that we've had recently have just elevated the importance of taking care of our environment. So we definitely need to, as a state, as a region, as the federal, to do more to take care of the environment we're in. It affects all of us. So anything that would help promote people making more green energy choices and having more green energy would be an excellent way to go. We need to definitely get away from fossil fuels. And I believe personally that also includes the idea of nuclear power. I know there is a group in Corvallis, a business there, that has been working on micro reactors, and the safety of them has been proven over time. And the idea of being able to use those, especially considering it's a local business, would be a definite boon for getting away from fossil fuels.
Thank you for that. So moving on to another issue that has certainly been in the news over the last several years, but certainly before that, is mental health, and related mostly to youth here. What steps should be taken to address Oregon's youth mental health needs?
First thing I think we need to look at is getting rid of the stigma that's involved in that. A lot of times people are not going for treatment because of the stigma of receiving it. So they're not getting the help that they need because people look at those that receive the treatment in a lesser light. I know at some point there were some businesses, and I think that's been taken care of through laws over the years, that used to look at receiving mental health treatment as a disqualifier for certain positions. So while that may have gotten out of the business realm, it still persists in society, that somehow someone who has gone to get treatment for depression or suicidal thoughts is somehow less than someone who hasn't. And I actually think it would be the opposite. So it shows a strength in character to be able to overcome what you're dealing with, to go and seek help. And in that regards, a lot of times there are laws around items that people are doing. They're treating themselves with different drugs, trying to take care of it themselves. So looking at the mental health issues, I think we also have to look at the criminal issues as well, that goes hand in hand with a lot of that.
And so just following up on that a bit, so what role, if any, do you see for the state government being involved in addressing?
Okay. State government definitely needs to encourage, by getting out of the way, more of this treatment. They definitely should make their laws more accepting of those that have gotten treatment, getting rid of barriers that allow for additional treatment. I know a lot of times there are certificate of need-based laws that keep certain like, oh, we don't need this here, and it keeps it from being built. So if we're able to allow more facilities, allow for more treatment, that is definitely the way that we need to go, by getting out of the way of the professionals and the nonprofits that know what they're doing in that field.
Okay, keeping a little bit to the topic, broadening it a bit, do you believe that Oregon has the resources to provide adequate and accessible healthcare, not just mental health care, but healthcare to Oregonians? And why or why not?
In general, especially when we're talking about the main corridor here, the Willamette Valley, I believe we have the facilities that we need. Getting outside of the main city centers, I feel that we have probably less access. There are people who are needing to travel further. Everything's been consolidated down. And so these small towns don't have the small town doctors the way they used to. You have to go to a bigger city to go to a big facility that has everything. So once again, I would fall into those need-based certificate laws and try to get rid of those. If I'm a doctor and I want to open a practice, I should be able to open my practice wherever I want to. And obviously, they're going to go where they feel they have the best fit. And there shouldn't be a requirement that other entities look at and go, oh, we don't need another doctor's office here. And that keeps them locked out from opening an office. So getting out of the way and letting people do their business the way they see fit, I think would provide the best additional access.
All right, so moving on, still a health issue, but moving on to another subject, considering that the CDC public health statistics on injuries and death from shootings, how do you think the government should step in to address and open more discussion around guns in our society?
Well, in that case, I feel that the government actually needs to be getting out of the way. The Second Amendment's pretty clear on the shall not be infringed. So a lot of the laws that go with that, I feel, are counterproductive and against the Constitution. Given that, you definitely need to be encouraging people to understand gun rights, gun safety, and how to properly treat a firearm and the dangers. Our society nowadays, unlike 200 years ago, not every family grew up with a firearm. You didn't send out the 7-year-old to go find a duck because that's what dinner was. So you didn't have it as part of your everyday life. Now it's a tool that doesn't get used the same. And so we need, as a society and as government, to encourage more of that proper respect and understanding. It just surprises me for the New Year celebrations. You fire your gun up in the air to celebrate, and it seems like people don't understand that the bullet will come down with gravity and you have no control over where it lands now. And people just don't think about that. They're just celebrating. So giving them more knowledge of what they're dealing with and more ability to respect it is going to be what will help with a lot of these issues.
So just to follow up on that, so do you think there is not the training isn't there today?
I think training is a big issue. It's not so much that people don't understand sometimes the strength of the weapon. They don't understand everything that goes with it and how to respectfully treat it. I know a lot of times people will clean their item and it ends up they didn't do everything properly and then it goes off accidentally. They didn't lock it up properly, so someone got hurt that wasn't supposed to have it. So for me, that additional education and training would help with a lot of the issues regarding gun violence.
Okay, thank you for that. And just with about the 30 seconds we have left, not much time, but
Sorry.
how would we address the teacher shortages Oregon is experiencing right now? And does state government have a role to play?
I think state government has a role because we do a lot of the licensing requirements. We need to find a way to encourage people to go into that field and not have so many restrictions on it. Teaching is a noble profession and it should be treated as such and not as second-class employees.
All right, thank you. And I'm sorry we've run out of time for our questions. Thank you, candidate Morrow. And now you are invited to share your 2-minute closing comments about your goals for this office if you are elected.
All right, thank you so much. And I know we didn't get through all the questions, but you had very good detailed questions there. As far as my goals, once I'm in office, what I would be looking for is to start to shrink the role and the strength of government. And the easiest way, of course, is going to be to look at the wasteful spending within government. So having to go through the budget line by line, looking for the items that we can cut so that we can reduce the tax burden on our citizens. By having more money in our pockets as citizens, we're able to spend it on the things we need and look at our priorities. So instead of government supporting different organizations, we can do that privately. That's the way I'd want to go. I'd also be looking at the various issues that we've had with police in the state recently, the Portland riots and the events down in Eugene. The same way, it's like, is there enough control of the citizenry? Or is it that the police are having too much ability to function without oversight? I really do believe we need to end qualified immunity. We need to make sure that everything is done with warrants, constitutionally, and we need to get rid of as many laws as we possibly can so that police are able to focus on crimes that have victims, rapes, murders, burglary, instead of items that don't have as much, where they're going after drug offenses that don't hurt anyone else, speeding, things like that that don't hurt anyone. We need to definitely get as much down to the non-violent crimes gone so the police can focus on violent ones.
All right. Well, thank you, candidate Morrow, for sitting with us for this interview today.
Thank you.
And for sharing your thoughts. And thanks also to Capital Community Media for their extensive technology and producer skills used to create this program. Thank you to the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk Counties for the design and preparation of the program, and to AAUW, Salem City Club, for help with the question development and providing moderators. And thanks to you, the public, for watching in order to become an informed voter. For more local, state, and national voter information on candidates and ballot issues, visit vote411.org. You have until October 18th to register to vote or make changes. Ballots go out October 19th and 20th, and according to a new law, will be accepted and counted if postmarked before or on November 8th. Elections do matter. Remember to vote because your vote counts.